The FIFA World Cup is called the biggest and most sacred stage of football. Those who prove their superiority once on this green carpet gain immortality in the pages of history. Billions of people around the world sit breathlessly in front of the TV to watch the thrill of those 90 minutes. When the national anthem is played, the hairs on the bodies of millions of people in the gallery stand on end. The entire sky becomes colored in the colors of the flag. Football is not just a game. It is the biggest symbol of the emotions, identity, and existence of an independent country for millions of people. But does history always tell the story of the winners or the survivors? Is history always so kind? So let's hear the whole story. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, then subscribe to the channel and keep the bell icon on. The next video will reach you first, and you must tell us in the comments where you are watching the video from. Close your eyes and imagine those days. The stadium was roaring with the screams of millions of spectators. A group of indomitable footballers are proudly flying their country's flag after defeating the world's best superpowers on the world stage. Millions of people are taking to the streets at home to cheer for their country. They have even made incredible history by playing in the World Cup finals and semifinals. But today, standing at this moment, if you want to buy a plane ticket to go to those countries, you cannot. You cannot go to any travel agency in the world and apply for a visa in the name of that country. Even if you look at any of the best maps or globes in the world, you will not even find the names of those countries. Literally, the names and borders of those independent sovereign countries have been erased from the face of the earth forever. Where did those world-shaking superpowers disappear? Bloody wars, crooked politics, or an invisible power struggle? Did it happen that in the darkness of the night, each independent country evaporated from the world map overnight? And which country are the famous legendary footballers of those countries, or the next generation carrying their blood today, identifying themselves as? Behind this colorful flash of football lies a cruel story of blood, politics, betrayal, and a divided history. Today, we will embark on a journey where we will search for those lost countries, whose names once spread terror in world football, but today they are just imprisoned in the Museum of Memories. The first stop on our journey is the cold world before 1990. The name that once came to mind when we heard the word red machine or red superpower in football history was the Soviet Union. It was one of the largest states in the world in size and power. Today, we know 15 separate independent countries, including Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Georgia, Armenia, or Estonia. At that time, each of them was under a huge flag. The hammer and sickle symbol in the middle of the red flag would have made the world's football superpowers tremble. The Soviet Union played in the World Cup 7 times between 1958 and 1990. They showed their best form in the 1966 World Cup, where they left behind the world's best and reached the semifinals of the tournament. The Soviet Union's style of play was like perfect military discipline. They did not give their opponents even a millimeter of space on the field. And the one who stood under their goalposts to protect the border, was he a human or some imaginary miraculous creature? There have been hundreds of studies on it. He was Lev Yashin, whom the whole world knew as the Black Spider. Wearing a black jersey all over his body, when he spread his wings on the goalposts, the legs of the world's best forwards would tremble. He is still the only goalkeeper in football history to have won the highest individual award in football, Ballon d'Or. But no matter how powerful their reign on the football field was, the political game behind the scenes was even more cruel. In the late 80s, the political stalemate and the harmful effects of the long Cold War with America led to a serious collapse in the economy of the Soviet Union. The country's coffers began to empty. Extreme dissatisfaction began to form among the common people. Finally, in December 1991, one of the most powerful states of the century, the Soviet Union, officially collapsed in a brutal political drama. The once formidable superpower was instantly divided into 15 separate pieces. The football team that once shook the whole world under the same jersey Their players became citizens of different countries overnight. The boy from Moscow who celebrated a goal yesterday when his Ukrainian teammate passed him, today they suddenly became rivals from two different countries. Today, Russia and Ukraine participate in international football as separate teams, yet their history is rooted in the same roots. Even though the 2018 World Cup will be hosted in Russia, the collective red machine of that red jersey will never return to this world. If you ask an impartial football historian or expert, what is the name of the biggest regret or tragedy in the history of World Cup football? They will answer in one word without stopping: Yugoslavia. Their playing style, footwork, and incredible ball control earned them the nickname Europe's Brazil. They competed on the world stage 8 times, from the historic first World Cup in 1930 to 1990. They reached the World Cup semifinals twice. The Yugoslav team that took the field in the 1990 World Cup in Italy was, according to many football experts, one of the best and most talented squads ever built. When superstars like Robert Prosinecki, Dragan Stojkovic, and Dejan Savicevic came together to control the ball, the opponent's defense seemed to collapse like a house of cards. Everyone thought that this team was going to be the next absolute ruler of world football. But the beauty of football on the field was crushed by the racial hatred within the people. In 1991, one of the bloodiest and most horrific civil wars in modern European history began. The Balkans were engulfed in ethnic strife and power-hungry politicians. Footballers who had just embraced each other in the same dressing room and cried, within months, their own nations and countries were shooting each other directly. Players who were ready to shed blood for their country's flag found their birthplaces torn apart by civil war. After a decade of bloody conflict, the beautiful country of Yugoslavia ceased to exist. The vast country was broken up into 7 new sovereign states: Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Kosovo. Think about it today. Luka Modric's Croatia, which shocked the world by reaching the 2018 World Cup final, or today's modern, powerful Serbia, if they had all been under one flag, the equation and power of world football could have changed forever. The team that was supposed to rise to the top of world football, their map was wiped off the face of the earth in the bloody poison of politics. Not everyone had a bloody end like Yugoslavia through civil war. The biggest example of 2 countries that can separate and keep their traditions and history even in peace is Czechoslovakia. This was no ordinary team in the history of football. This was a cricket or football superpower that played in the FIFA World Cup final not once, but twice. In the 1934 World Cup, they played the best final of their lives, ignoring the bloodshed of the host Italy. Then, in the 1962 World Cup in Chile, this indomitable team faced Pelé's world-winning Brazil. Although they lost to Brazil in the great battle of the final, their incredible football style won the hearts of football fans all over the world. Their football history is even famous for the historic Panenka penalty kick of Euro 1976, which changed the way penalties are taken in the entire football world forever. But despite such a rich football history, today you will not find the name of Czechoslovakia on any modern map of the world. Unlike Yugoslavia, there was no gun battle there. No bombs exploded in the alleys. However, by the beginning of the 90s, the political ideology, economic inequality, and cultural differences of the people of the 2 regions were increasing so much that they realized that living together was no longer possible. On January 1st, 1993, in a demonstration of political foresight, the 2 regions separated completely bloodlessly and peacefully. In history, this historical event is called the Velvet Divorce. Czechoslovakia broke up, and 2 new countries appeared on the world map: the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Both countries have formed separate football associations today and wear different jerseys on the field. But the name of the golden Czechoslovakia that shook the football world in 2 World Cup finals is today confined only to dusty old books and art gallery video archives. There have been some political dramas in the history of the World Cup, that rival even a Hollywood thriller. The biggest example of this is Germany after World War II. After the defeat in the World War, the politics of the Allies divided the whole of Germany geographically into two parts. In one part, capitalist West Germany was born, and in the other, socialist East Germany. In order to keep the ordinary people of the two countries apart, a terrible cement wall was erected in the middle, called the Berlin Wall. Blood is one, language is one, culture is one, but brother was separated from brother only because of political ideology. West Germany was a huge superpower on the football field. They were winning one title after another. On the other hand, East Germany only qualified for the World Cup once in its history. That was in West Germany in 1974. And it was at that World Cup that the strangest, most exciting, and historic match in football history took place. In the group stage draw, East Germany and West Germany coincidentally faced each other. Despite the Berlin Wall in the middle, the two Germanys faced each other on the green carpet of football. On one side, the superpower West Germany, built with the best stars in the world, and on the other, the East Germany, with its feelings only fighting for honor. This was no longer just an ordinary football match. It became a nerve-wracking psychological war between two political ideologies. Shocking the entire world, the tiny East Germany defeated the powerful West Germany 1-0 in that tense match. That one goal by Jürgen Speerwasser not only went into the net, it was engraved as the biggest incident in the history of football. However, it did not take long for this division to be permanently resolved. When the socialist bloc collapsed in the late 1980s, in 1989, the angry crowd broke down the cursed Berlin Wall with hammers. In 1990, the two Germanys were officially reunited and became a single state. And with this, the independent country called East Germany disappeared from the geographical map of the world forever. The Toni Kroos, Manuel Neuer, or Thomas Müller that we see today, they all played for the United Germany, which achieved the glory of becoming world champions in 2014. However, the historic 1-0 victory of East Germany in the pages of history is still preserved as a unique political myth. When we watch the World Cup football every 4 years, our eyes are on the goals, the points table, the shiny trophies, and the unbridled joy in the stadiums. But the tragedy of these lost countries confronts us with a cruel reality that we often cannot understand. Football is never just a game of 22 people running around a ball for 90 minutes. It is a real living mirror of the country's economy, politics, culture, borders, and national identity. The teams whose national anthems once shook the stadium galleries, whose flags inspired millions of people to lift their chests high, today, those flags are just locked in history books or glass cases in museums. Standing on their ruins, new countries have emerged today. New footballers are taking to the field wearing new jerseys. But football history has not completely forgotten those primitive superpowers. When you see footballers of a country singing their national anthems with their chests high in the World Cup in the future, then think a little deeper. There were many powerful countries in the history of this world who once could not even imagine that their beloved country would one day disappear from the map of the world. The borders of countries have been erased. The colors of flags have become the same. The geographical identity has disappeared. But the history of their sweat and blood written on the green carpet of football can never be erased. As long as the game of football lives on, the names of these lost superpowers will remain in the hearts of people as symbols of the tragedy that has ended.